Yeah, proceeding to the next research paper by Sanjana. So I'm going to share the screen. Okay. This is a wonderful. This is also a wonderful paper on how agility can be applied to the trainings, right? Uh, so about Sanjana. Sanjana is the founder of Interactive Learning Solutions. She has been a business analyst mentor and coach for over a decade now, and she has impacted over 1,000 plus business analysts through her training programs. She is an avid agile enthusiast. She is passionate about exploring innovative ways in which agile can be applied to derive tangible and measurable learning outcomes. In this paper, she transforming learning through agility. She explores how agile principles can be applied to competency-based certification programs to achieve the desired results. Over to you, Sanjana.
Sajana, you're on mute, Sajana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Anbu, for the introduction. I'll just share my screen. Yeah. So good evening, everyone. I'm Sajna Binil, and I'm presenting my research paper on transforming learning through agility. So I've spent close to a decade in the learning and development sector now, and I'm quite vigilant about the challenges that the sector faces. You know, so being an agile enthusiast, when I first started Interactive Learning Solutions, I decided to have the key focus of the organization to maximize the value that's delivered to our customer, and I started exploring ways in which I can achieve that. You know, so the this paper is an outcome of some of the investigations that I carried out this year as well as last year to understand, to measure the effectiveness of my training programs and how better I can improve the results. You know, so that's the key focus of this paper. So just to give you a background, learning and development sector has seen exponential growth in the past few years. Why? Because organizations started realizing that the true key success for their business lies in the quality of human resources that they have in the organization. So they started exploring different ways in which they can attract and retain this talent. So the way that they found was to create a value-based culture that will help people develop their skills and capabilities that could motivate employees and keep them engaged, and in turn would help the organization build their own brand. So that's the reason we have seen so much of growth in this particular sector, because organizations started investing heavily in nurturing, providing the right environment for their employees to grow to the next level leaders. So then came the challenge. Now, the key challenge that was facing most of the learning and development professionals was twofold. Okay. The first one, to design a program that's aligned to the business goals and helps an organization improve its performance. The second one was to devise reliable metrics or methods that can help measure the effectiveness of these training initiatives. So we as an organization, we helped uh, corporates with this twofold challenge. We help them design programs that's aligned with their business goals and devised mechanisms in which we could actually measure the effectiveness of these programs. So what we did is, the first set of learning programs that we came up with were purely knowledge-based learning program, which is the traditional classroom style which you see in most of the organizations, wherein the instructor teaches a concept and the students can ask questions and interact and gain knowledge. So this was the first set which we had launched several years ago. And we found that these learning programs were effective in filling the knowledge gap in that individual. They were they scored well in filling the knowledge gap. However, what they lacked was in building a competency in an individual. So certain roles like a business analyst role, project manager's role require an individual to develop a certain competency. And I personally believe that you can develop a competency in an individual only if you, the knowledge that you translate in a training program, if you put that knowledge into practice, that helps you develop a skill or a competency in an individual. So just by just giving knowledge to someone, it does not necessarily develop into a skill. So we have to put the knowledge into practice. So with that in mind, we started doing the second type of learning programs, that's competency based learning programs, where the focus was built on building skills or competencies in an individual. See, we rolled out customized competency learning programs for corporates based on their requirements. And in these programs, we used to have a lot of activities to be done, a lot of assignments, a lot of deliverables to be produced by the learners. And in certain programs, we also ran a 1 month boot camp where the employees could actually put all the knowledge into practice and send deliverables back to the trainer, where the trainer can review and give feedback. So that was the second competency based learning programs. As business needs changed, as industry, as popularity of the professional certifications increased in the market, there was a requirement from corporates, most of the corporates, that they have a mandate to get their employees, X amount of employees, CBAP certified or PMP certified on a quarterly basis. So there came these professional certifications. So we rolled out competency based certification programs. So wherein we, being endorsed training providers, we aligned our programs with the exam curriculum that's prescribed by the accrediting body, be it IIB or PMI. So we took the exam curriculum and developed our programs based on the curriculum. And here the objective was twofold: develop competencies in the individual, as well as give them all the knowledge that's required to help them clear the certification. Okay. So these were a couple of programs that we had launched for our corporates, keeping in mind specific needs and requirements of our customers. Now came the challenge. When we started measuring, how do we measure the effectiveness of this program? So I spoke about 3 different programs that we had rolled out to corporates based on their specific needs. We now started measuring the effectiveness of this program. Some amount of this measurement was done last year, some this year. And we used the very popular evaluation model, but that is the Kirkpatrick's training evaluation model. It's a very popular model developed by Donald Kirkpatrick. So this model says that you can evaluate the effectiveness of a training program on 4 different levels. Okay. So the first level being the reaction level, wherein you can gauge the effectiveness of a program purely by looking at the reaction of the participants, how well the participants have been receiving your program, how much they are interacting in the classroom, how many questions they are asking. So this level 1 was very easy for us to gauge, because we used to circulate feedback forms at the end of the training programs, which had most of the questions related to that. And we were very easily we could capture this status, this metrics. Level 2, which said you can gauge the effectiveness of a program on the learning level. That is the degree to which the participants have acquired knowledge or skills in your program. Now for that, what we did is we devised quizzes that we used to circulate before the training, and the quizzes post the training, and we used to capture the delta, how much is the knowledge gained. Also the course completion, how many students who enrolled actually completed the course, that became another parameter. Then the certifications, how many students went ahead for the certification, the final certification, that became another parameter, and several others. On level 3 level, third level, this model says that you can do a behavior assessment also to gauge the effectiveness of your program. which said that participants, you can gauge the degree to which the participants have applied what they learned on the job. So now this, you can capture this level 3 assessment by engaging with their line managers after 2 months or 3 months of a training. You can decide the time period and you can engage with the line managers and capture if the training has really made a difference in the performance of that employee. And the level 4 assessment, this is quite difficult to capture the organization level, because the organization level also there has to be specific metrics that should tell you whether your training has been effective at level 4. So this is a these are results, organizational results at level 4, wherein the percentage of improvement in productivity, the customer satisfaction, improvement in customer satisfaction rating, these kind of metrics come into play at level 4. So for you to gauge the effectiveness at level 4, it's a little difficult, because the organization needs to have specific metrics capturing the training program from the training program per se. Like for example, if you're rolling out business analysis training program, each of these metrics have to be defined from the business analysis per se. Okay, so for evaluating the effectiveness of our programs, we used this Kirkpatrick's model, and here were some findings. So I'll talk about the problem that we faced when we saw the result of the evaluation. So now our knowledge-based programs, which were the traditional classroom style programs, had a good score in the evaluation model. Competency-based learning programs had an excellent score because the learners were constantly engaged during the learning program, and they did a lot of activities. So everybody left the program with a very happy feeling, thinking that, okay, we have developed some skills and we can apply it right on the job. We now know how to create a requirement, or we now know how to engage with stakeholders and all of that. Okay. But the challenge was with competency-based certification programs. We found that these competency-based certification programs, although could achieve the outcome of developing a competencies, developing skills, the final percentage of students who actually appeared for the examination was significantly low. So if I'm training a batch of 10 students, there might be just 1 or 2 students who actually went for the examination. So that was the challenge. We saw that although we could achieve results for other programs, knowledge based and which were pure competency forced customized programs, these competency programs which were linked to professional certifications like CBAP, ECBA, these kind of programs gave us a significantly low rating, because like I said, only 20% of the students actually appeared for these examinations. So our next step was to explore, to investigate, to figure out what we can do to solve the problem. So we interviewed around 30 students who had attended our training programs a year ago. So they had attended a ECBA training program a year ago, and when they had attended the program, they were all geared up. Yes, after this program, I'm going to give my certification exam, and they showed immense level of confidence, And throughout the training program, they interacted well, answered questions and all. So which made us feel that, okay, a significant amount will actually get the certificate. But to a surprise, when we reached out to them after a year, we found that all of these guys, none of them have even attempted the exam. Okay, so we interviewed them to figure out as to what went wrong, and was there anything wrong with our program, or what are the other factors that stopped you, that deterred you from going ahead. So this is a chart that is showing you some of the reasons which were cited by students. Okay, so 25% students said that they could not manage time. They could not distribute time efficiently between their existing work and the exam preparation. So poor time management. They said that we couldn't do it, on a regular basis, and then we dropped the idea. Some said they were too busy right now with projects running into hectic schedule, so they have delayed it, just postponed it, but they will plan to give it. They plan to give it in the future. Some 15% said that they had fear and anxiety for the exam. They said due to the high level of complexity involved in these exams, made them less confident. And after the training programs, although during the training programs they gave the right answers and engaged fully with the class, after the at the end of the training program, somehow they developed a fear, saying that, okay, if I did not clear the examination, I will lose out all the money for the exam. So most of these professional certifications have a high exam fees, and that was one of their concern, that we'll lose out all the money. So this gave them a lot of anxiety, and they never could make up their mind to go for the certification. Another 25% said complete lack of focus. They said when they opened the book, they were completely lost. They couldn't focus. They hardly read 1 or 2 pages and then closed the book and opened the book probably after 1 week. So they could not focus. 10% said they lacked guidance. They said that after the training program, there should be a guide associated with us till we completed our certification program. So if someone would have guided at every step, maybe we would have given our uh, certification. And 10% said lack of motivation. There was no push. So we cannot work as self-motivated people. It's really difficult, because I understand that part also, because they are relatively new in the industry. Just most of them are freshers who are giving this ECBA examination, entry level examination. So they said they needed a push from somewhere. And because they didn't get it, they kept on postponing it. Let's do it later. So after 1 year, they had still not given the examinations. So these were a couple of reasons for failure that we captured from students who did not give this examination. Then we carried out an experiment. To solve this issue, we decided to carry out a small experiment to figure out actually whether our agile principles can be applied to improve the learning outcome. So one of our learning outcome for this kind of program was miserably failing, which is like helping employees achieve their certification. So we had to address it. So we decided to carry out an experiment with 10 students. These students had completed their training program a year ago with us, but still not given their certification. So we got them together and told them, hey, if you're really determined to give this examination, let's form a group. Let's be together. You'll get all the guidance that's required. You'll get all the entire environment that's required to complete your certification. And let's see how it goes. But you should be determined to achieve this. So a group of 10 came together, uh, and I formed this group, decided to apply some agile concepts here. So we formed during this team formation phase, we formed study groups. Now these groups, keep in mind, were formed after the training. Like I said, they had undergone my training 1 year back. Um, and I created learning goal for them, weekly learning goals. Weekly targets were set for them, telling them that what they have to complete on a weekly basis, the chapters that they have to complete on a weekly basis, and explain them this entire model, and how they need to maintain accountability with each other. If one of the team member is lagging behind, how they need to give him the right push to get him in place, and all of that. One key thing I told them was also go ahead and register for the exam, okay, and arrive on a common exam date, okay. So this was very, very crucial. I told them, for this model to be successful, you need to have adequate commitment, guys. So you have to register for the exam and arrive on your exam date, well, whichever date you are comfortable in giving. Now, as a mentor, I ensured that they had all the resources in terms of the books and the mock tests. Everything was given to them so that they can practice, and nothing stopped them from giving the examination. And so guidance was given. I also made them draft a working agreement just to bring that team spirit in place, just so that they develop enough focus and commitment, and there is determination. So I said, draft a working agreement that you guys will all work together as a team, and you will be the weekly goals that I've created for you yourself, for each one of you, those weekly goals you are going to achieve together. If anyone is lagging behind, it's your responsibility to push that person. And if there is a serious obstacle, you need to inform me. I can guide you accordingly. And all of that instructions were given. So we created a study plan for the entire group, which we called the backlog, which I felt would give them better time management skills. So in the backlog, against every chapter was indicated the target dates where they have to complete that particular chapter. So those, I marked those as milestones that you have to achieve. Okay, so like I said, the backlog consisted of all the chapters in the curriculum, and the chapters were further broken down into sub-modules so that students don't get overwhelmed, because every chapter is very huge. So to bring down their anxiety and make it easier for them to achieve their goals, I broke the chapter into several subsections, and then created milestones for each of them. Also did a prioritization based on the weightage given to a chapter in the exam. Okay, so we prioritized the entire backlog based on the value that you're going to get in the exam. So applied one of the agile principle over there. There are review process. Now in the review process, we had agreed that we will meet once a week to review the progress, where if everyone is able to meet the goals for that particular week, we'll have a quick catch up call for maybe 10 minutes. And also, after our review call to check the progress, there will be online mock tests. So which the mentor will roll out. So I will send out the link there on the meeting. So you're supposed to come prepared for the meeting with a specific chapter that I have already included in the backlog. So that week's milestone achievement was supposed to be that online mock test, wherein if depending upon the scores that you get, you we were the students were given a grading based on that. So students were told that for all the mock tests you have to achieve more than 85%. So that's a good enough score. Even if it's lesser than that, it shows a lesser amount of preparedness for the final exam. you know so then we had also retrospective discussions to ensure continuous improvement. So whenever, like I said, whenever a student could not complete a backlog item, we used to speak to the student and check on as to what is the reason behind, so why this particular student is lagging behind, and then we used to suggest corrective actions for that. So this was the study team that we created as an experiment to see if we applied agile principles and whether we could bring in the same amount of focus, commitment, if we made these guys work together as a team. So after explaining the entire model and being there to guide them, I asked them to be on their own, and come to me only after if there are any obstacles, if you need any guidance as such. So I met them once a week for the reviews. The results. Now the results of this were the first phase of our experiments that we rolled out were not very encouraging. What we found was the students were very focused in the first 2 weeks. They were very focused, determined. They came for the review test, and many of them were top scorers on the review test, and they made significant progress in the backlog that I had prepared for them. But slowly, after 2 weeks, we saw that students started exiting the group. citing various reasons, work pressure is there, I have to give my college exams or something or the other. Now, at the end of 1 month, we just had three students left in the group. So it kind of worried me. I felt, okay, this is not going in the right direction. Now, from this group, finally, from this group, we just had one student who went for the final certification. Rest of them, I've again delayed it. Okay, delayed it. I do not till when. It's an indefinite delay. So a couple of learnings. I decided to dig deeper to understand why these students are not able to focus again. You know, so I spoke to these students once again, and there were a couple of when they self-organized themselves. When I explained them the model and left it for them to drive the entire thing, there were a couple of changes they brought about in the model that I had told them. They themselves decided, let's change a few things. Okay, so that's an interesting thing. That tells us more about our people behavior, right? So the first thing, commitment. Now, if you see in my model, I had told them, uh, please register for the exam and arrive on the final date, final exam date. But these guys kept on postponing the registration because there is obviously money involved. So they kept on postponing it, saying that, okay, let's see how much we are able to progress with respect to our studies, because there was their confidence level was much less. Like I said, I had finished their training a year ago, so the confidence had significantly dropped from these students. So they were in an experimental mode. They were trying to figure out whether they will be, if they completed around 60 to 70% portion successfully, then I will go and register for the exam. That's how they, decided within the group. Okay, let's guys do it a little later. Although when this was communicated to me, I kept pushing, guys, go and register. Without a target date for the final goal, how can you work? You have to work keeping the end in mind. If you don't have a target date, how can you create your sub goals? But that didn't happen. They said, okay, we will do it next week, we'll do it next week. And the delay kept on happening. So the first parameter that I identified was the commitment, absolute lack of commitment. The other thing which I saw was goal setting. The team failed miserably in goal setting. Now, although I had created weekly learning goals for them, they were supposed to create daily goals based on their work schedule. They were supposed to break it down into sub goals. So this was a coaching that I had given them, how you have to create your sub goals in order to achieve it, so that you can view the progress in terms of sub goals. That will give you enough motivation to go ahead. But they did not do that. And they lacked accountability, I felt, in several areas, because the review meetings were skipped, wherein the review meetings where I used to conduct their mock test to see their performance. So they started skipping those review meetings, saying that I have some other call, office call. Happened quite often. The obstacles that they faced during their learning journey were not reported, because they felt, okay, let's delay this, let's not report it to ma'am, let's delay it a little and then we will catch up later. So none of that came to me. Only when I reached out to them and checked, they told me about the obstacles and why they decided to drop off. So all these factors, if you see, led to a complete lack of focus and motivations. Boils down to the focus and motivation part of it. So with that in mind, what if you sum it up all together, you'll see that we come to some of the very crucial uh, people agility aspects. you know Commitment, motivation, confidence, focus, and our achievement, all of these are interconnected, interlinked. So, and the core of this being the goal. you know so this experiment actually proved to me that if you fail miserably in your goal setting, all of this are the outcomes. You'll see, when you commit to a particular goal, you get something to aim for. Your commitment brings tells you, okay, this is what I have to aim for. When you don't commit to it, you are leaving it very open. Okay, oh, let's see if I can achieve it. you know so motivation is the push that we all need to achieve our goal. So it's again linked to goal. And again, focus, to bring about focus. uh, if you have a goal, only then you can focus on it, right? So the focus parameter again is linked to goal. So if these guys would have done their goal setting properly, focused, they would have developed enough focus, motivation, and commitment, which they were not able to do it because like I said, the core of this is goals. That's one area that I identified where the team failed miserably. And there is a study in the internet which says that science says only 8% of people actually achieve their goals. So when it comes to our personal goals, guys, it's a very low percentage of people who can commit to a personal goal and achieve it. Very low percent. you know so if you just take an example of a university exam, suppose this was a university exam, then the date is given by the exam date is given by the university. Huh? So you don't have any choice. Students don't have any choice to choose the dates. But when it comes to professional certifications, the accrediting bodies allow an individual an entire year where you can schedule your exam as per your convenience. So you can take that leisure, and depending upon your work schedule, you can target a particular date for your exam. So when there is something imposed on you, like university uh, publishing its exam date, the commitment automatically comes, right? Because if you don't give the exam, then you will naturally flunk, you don't get certificate. There will not be another exam conducted on another date. you know so this the whole purpose of bringing this particular slide was to bring the different aspects of people agility that I found while I conducted this particular experiment, and figured out that we this model that I had created to achieve the desired learning outcomes has to be further amended. you know so that led to so this is an ongoing study wherein I'll be conducting a second phase of experiments. It's already going on with a particular batch, with an ECBA batch that I'm currently training, where I have made some amendments to this model, and the results of that will be published in the next conference. A little I would like to give you a view on this new model that we have been working together as a team. So here, um, in contrast to the old model, where the team was formed after the training, what we did is the team was formed on day one of the training. Okay, we formed a study team on day one of the training, and then I worked out certain goals for every individual based on their work schedule. So I did not this time leave it to the students to prepare their goals. So we prepared some SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Okay. So based on the goals that we created for them, the entire breaking down of the sub goals also was done by us, and with a target date attached to it. And based on that, we arrived on the final date for the exam, and the students are asked to register for the exam within a week. You know, so we said, oh, in order to bring that commitment towards your goal, it is very, very essential, guys. Go ahead and register, and you have a this is going to be time bound. Within 1 week you have to register, or else you have to drop out of the study group. Okay. So then we brought in, for team collaboration, we brought in a lot of activities. In terms of the activities were purely based on the concepts we taught in the class. So based on requirements gathering or requirements analysis concepts that I taught, I used to send them several activities which they could regroup as a team and do those activities and mail it back to me. So uh, a better connect has been established. That's the progress so far. A better connect has been established between the team members. And for confidence and motivation, what we did is we had a weekly goal sheet tracker. Okay, so like I said, I broke down the larger goal into several sub goals, and I send them a tracker by which at the end of the week they are supposed to inform everybody in the group. They can inform that these are the sub goals that they have achieved, and based on that, if that tracker also gave us essential information to if we had to readjust the plan somewhere or take corrective action for someone. So then the results of the review that we conducted, the online mock tests, the results were published in a dashboard, and incentives were rolled out to students. Incentives in the terms like top scorer of the week, or if a person has been steadily scoring in multiple review session, he has been the top scorer, he becomes a group leader. He starts leading the group. So in a way, we also said that, okay, if you get to this, if you complete this milestone, this is what you can achieve next. So to bring about a kind of motivation, and also that helped us build a kind of a leadership skills also. So we focused our learning programs on also building some attitudinal skills. So we rolled it with we rolled out these incentives in such a way that it helped them build a particular skill also. And daily collaboration. Now during our first phase of experiments, we saw that these collaborations of having online meetings, students at the first 2 weeks, they used to attend those meetings very religiously. After that, they used to not attend. So we brought about this collaboration using tools. So we formed a group in WhatsApp, wherein the team interacted with each other, saying that, okay, these are the sections I've completed, what about you? A simple the progress checking of each other. So that collaboration was smoothened up. In the first case, people said that don't have adequate time to attend even a 10 minutes meeting. Okay, so we dropped that meeting part of it and brought about collaboration using collaborative tools. And for improvements, like I said, I already mentioned, we made adjustments to our plan based on corrective actions that we had to take for maybe a specific student who had some other personal commitment, or just now in this particular batch that I am handling, there is a college student, so she has her exams by till December 17. So she has asked me to exempt her from the review tests. So I'm not conducting mock tests for her currently. The rest of the group is doing the mock tests. So some adjustments to the plan, some corrective actions based on a particular scenario that we had to do. We continuously engage as a team, and we have identified that. So this model or framework is going to evolve further. It's not final, because it's the experiment is still ongoing, and based on that, we will arrive on how we'll arrive on a final model where this entire team is able to efficiently achieve its goal. You know, so that's the thought that I would like to leave you on. This new model which is coming up, which I will be publishing in my next conference. You know, the smart learning framework. And these are a couple of references which I have used for my research. For acknowledgement, I would like to thank my agile coach, Padma Priya. She has guided this research paper a lot because we both belong to the same training sector. So I have taken a lot of guidance from Padma on this particular paper to tell her what are the results of my findings, and how I should better portray it in my paper and stuff like that. And thanks a lot to Vanity ma'am, who has reviewed the paper and given her comments based on which I could improve it. And also to Anbu Joseph. You both have given immense help and support for this paper. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Sanjana, for that wonderful presentation. So I think a lot of questions have come up. Yeah, let's start with Fanindra. Fani, you had a lot of questions and thoughts shared in the chats.
Will we get a chance?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Fani, are you there? Okay, fine.
Yes,
Who
I'm,
wants? Yeah, so you are asking a lot of questions related to this.
I think only
So,
one I asked.
mm,
I will
yeah,
answer.
please go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just asking your organization wants to reimburse only in case they clear the exam.
Hmm.
I think I got the answer also. That yes. That's the reason why. So obviously they are worried about their money, right? Of course, I think it happens in every organization, including mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the corporates that used to tie up with us for the certification programs, naturally those certification fees were paid by corporates, but they no, the employees had to pay it first and get it reimbursed. So that was one problem that the employees faced. That then they had to pay the money, and they were not very confident that they will make it. And naturally, uh, that raised a lot of questions. And then apart from these corporate programs, we also do our individual programs, right, wherein students can directly enroll with us. So in those kind of programs, which where the students are not coming from corporates, they are directly enrolling through our website and stuff like that. The money is totally theirs. The nobody is going to reimburse. So this behavior was seen in both kind of programs, both corporate programs as well as the retail programs, wherein the students directly enroll with us. Where, like I said, this is a key factor that I did identified, that because there is a huge amount of money at stake. These guys did not, they felt that it was too risky.
Yeah.
After completion of the training, they initially delayed it for 2-3 months, saying that okay, maybe after 3 months I will take the exam. But you see, the concepts of these exams are relatively complex. The concepts that we teach in those certification programs are relatively complex. What happens is, when you delay these exams after the training program, these concepts start evaporating. Then when
Yeah.
after 3 months, when you open the book, you are absolutely blank.
Yeah.
Yeah, that drops their confidence level.
Mm.
And then they feel, okay, even if my company is going to reimburse this, I will be questioned, right, why I did not clear the exam, because there is money. Even if it's the company's money, there is money involved. So that's these are couple of things due to which they keep on postponing indefinitely, pushing it.
Yeah, thank you. And one more question, what I asked was, so you mentioned a couple of certifications. Maybe I'm not having knowledge on that. So do the employees know how beneficial they are for
Yes.
their career progression?
Yes. We brief about those certifications. The first day of the training program itself, we tell them
Okay.
about the benefits of that certification and answer all the queries with respect to the certification and how they need to register, how the entire process is demonstrated to them.
Okay. So these are actually relevant employees, but still they can benefit by completing the certification, but
Yes.
they were not putting efforts. That's why you are concerned about, right?
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. So a couple of these employees also wanted to transition their career from a software developer's role to a business analyst role. Because currently in their job role, although they are developers, there is a high amount of coordination that they do with the client.
Mm.
So they found this role very apt. And they liked the responsibilities of the. So they had many of them had done quite a bit of research on the business analyst role that they wanted to get into, and then enrolled for the program. Because they actually wanted to transition their career into this particular role.
Okay, got it. But quite frankly,
Mm.
at
Yeah.
least about myself, I can tell maybe many
Mm.
of us also would have faced such situation, that is as an employee. So we attend some trainings. We are supposed to take exams, or we are supposed to complete some certifications. We will not do because of lack of time or lack of focus or whatever it
Correct,
is.
correct.
Even I remember now, after when you are started telling, I remember about one particular course. I attended 2 days workshop. Then after that, my competency is supposed to grow after taking one exam, but I did not take. But maybe nobody was following it up with me like you did.
No, because for our training organization, this became a mandate because some of these corporates, not all, some of these corporates were highly focused on measuring the effectiveness of every program that they roll out. So they started engaging with us, saying that, our students have completed your training program on in so and so month, maybe 3 months ago, and these guys have not yet given their certification. What is the reason? So they started asking us the reason that these students are not going for their certification, the final certification, and that's the reason that led to this actually led to a series of investigations from our side.
It's a very
So
hard
because
word, investigations. So what percentage was that, Sanjana? Like if you take a percentage of people who are not attempting these exams, what would be that percentage initially when you started this research?
like I said, I'm training a batch of 10, for a particular certification, I figured out that only 2 out of that appeared for the examination. The rest
That
of
is
the
too
8
bad.
never even attempted.
Yeah.
Nagini, now you
Question.
understand what is meant by investigation, right? You're asking, right? This is what is interrogation.
So I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Incentive part you have just explained us.
Yeah.
I think that is there in the chat window as well. So
Oh.
I'm taking up that. So you had this incentive system introduced and you saw that it was working and motivating. Was there any flip side to that? Like people were trying to utilize that for, in a different way, where the incentive, they were trying to do the certification. I would tell you an example. In my company, there is something like you have to complete 40 hours of learning internally or externally, that is up to you. And then you have up to 3.5 lakhs of reimbursement per year.
Okay.
So some people are very smart. They don't want to leave the company, and so they have a reliability that they can stay for 1 year, and they are very, very attached to the company. So what they do is, for 1 year they will plan properly all the 3.5 lakhs they will take for reimbursement and complete it. In a way, good for the company and for them also. But my only problem here is they do all certifications even if they are not required to do. You understand, right?
Okay. Got it.
Just
Nagini,
because they want to.
on a funny note, do you have vacancies in your organization? 3.5 lakhs seems to be
Lot
interesting.
of.
Okay.
I wanted to ask the same thing.
I'm sure
So
you'll
what
get
hap-
a lot of CVs now, Nagini.
Luckily, I'm not in HR.
But we will give your reference for sure.
That will give me some money. Don't worry. See, on a funny note, even if I refer you, I am not eligible to get referral amount. So you can send anything for me, and nobody is bothered. They will take you because they don't need to pay the money for referral. So another question I have for Sajana is like, this is for the corporates who have approached you for a training. And you had this challenge where people were not taking these exams. And I heard you have got this challenge from the direct enrollments as well.
Yes, correct.
But is there any difference between these two kind of people, whose money will be reimbursed and whose money will not be reimbursed? In the sense, what was the fear factor in both of them? Is it the same?
Well, I have interviewed a couple of, I think, 3 corporates, as well as my retail batches, the direct students also. The fear level that I found, this was also one curiosity that I had. whether that will be different in both cases. But I found that it was almost the same,
Okay.
even if the organization is ready to reimburse the money, these guys are just not ready to go ahead. They give me reasons saying that no, we will do it next month. They are not saying that they're not going to do it, but the next
Mhm.
month is not coming. So it keeps on they keep on postponing it. We'll definitely do it. And in certain cases, last month there was a corporate training that I took, and the company has already paid the exam fee.
Wow.
So now they have I'm after them, giving them a push, so that it's so that it doesn't boil up to the same case, I know, whether they don't give the certification exam. But let's see, that one is something that the training program has just completed next month, so they still have time. So they have asked me for time to study. So
No, my
let's see
question
that.
was a little different.
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
explain you. So sorry, I'm not taking others' time, right?
No, 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 no.
Okay. So my question was, when a corporate is sponsoring you, until you pass the exam, it is the same risk with an external person and a corporate person.
Yeah.
So that is my point.
Yes.
So until they pass, they are also like a normal person who's coming from outside, and
Yes.
if they fail, they have to bear the responsibility and the loss.
Yeah.
Only a good thing for them is if they pass, they will get the money.
Yes.
So once they have completed the 2 days, wasted their wasted the 2 days of training days already, 16 hours, then they would better come and complete it and then take the money from the corporate. Why are they not, using that? Any particular reason you have seen in your research?
No, well, I have not investigated in that direction as to why exactly there is a change in behavior in both of these students, the corporates as well as the retails.
Okay.
On an added note, I just wanted to ask, in this study, have you been able to identify any corner cases with learning areas? See, I had a struggle learning, and that's why education is quite close. Now I'm able to confidently say that I'm dyslexic. So if somebody is dealing that so-called certification because they have a learning trouble or they have any sort of that trouble, would you be able to cater towards that? Because there are many people on professional levels who find it hard to accept that they have learning disabilities. It's hard to identify as a coach, as a teacher, and it's also hard to accept for somebody who's got that kind of an issue, right? So how do we deal with that in terms of certifications? Would you be able to get into that?
No, this, Shruti, to tell you frankly, about learning disabilities is something that we have not covered in our scope of research, and what we have done is, when we interviewed a sample size of students, through our classroom interactions with these students also, we are able to gauge, right, how well the students are able to. So that's the sample size that I picked up for interviewing to, to check what is stopping them from achieving the certification. Those were those high performers in the class, so it clearly, from my side, they do not have any learning disabilities, because these were the guys who were like top scorers in my class when the class was running. I had rolled out several activities, made them do several activities, and then ran quizzes, and their confidence level was very high during the training program.
Yeah.
And they were like, yes, ma'am, after the training program, I'm definitely going to give the certification and all.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having that. So like I said, I'm dyslexic. Until and unless I tell somebody, people don't know I'm dyslexic, right? I don't come across that way. So that is something that's internally a struggle for somebody who has that. But maybe that's an avenue to explore, right?
But then what I'm saying, Shruti, then if they had a learning disability, we as instructors, we will be able to figure it out during the course of the training program, right? When we are rolling out these different quizzes, or, we ask them to complete a particular module and come for the next lecture. And we ask them to complete certain activities. And so though, if people are having some learning disabilities, that I think that shows in the results that they produce. So the sample size that I had selected was the key people who were top scorers in the class which I interviewed. So
Is there
I
training?
believe I've never like I would like to tell you that I have actually not gone deeper into this area that you're talking about. But the reason that I specifically selected the sample size was that to ensure that people who are having some problem comprehending instruction or any kind of a disability are not included in my interview process, because they have to be treated separately. So that through my interactions with these students, through the results they produce during the training program, I gauged, okay, they are having enough proficiency level in attention, achieving this certification. It's only the focus, motivation and these external factors that are holding them back. And that's the reason I conducted this experiment with them, because they were the people who were driven mostly they were the people who were driven in the entire training program, that they were the guys who motivated others also. Yes, we are going to do it, but it didn't happen. So I would
You said these are trainees, right? Freshers,
Yeah.
I think.
Sorry.
These are freshers, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great study, Sajana.
Thank you, Nagini.
Yeah.
Lot
Yeah,
of pain points you have covered.
Thanks everyone for this wonderful interaction. So a lot of new thoughts also starts coming up, and new areas of research also starts to coming up.
Yeah.
So we hope that next year we are going to get much more research paper on people agility. Right. So thank you, Sanjana, for this wonderful presentation, and thanks everyone for making it more interactive, both the first session and the second session.
Thank you very much, Anbu. Thank you all.
Padma, you have to conduct a 24-hour session next year.
Yeah. Over to you, Padma.
Thank you so much. Thanks for this excellent session. Both of them are experimental oriented, which gives raw data. The first one is from school. The second one is from grown-up kids from the organization, but still both difficult to handle.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so
They're
really
equivalent to kids.
yeah, exactly. It's also very as I'm know I can second every word of Sajana as a trainer, how we will evaluate throughout the training their learning capability and how they reflect. And really, I love the on of Sajana. Not all the experiments will show some glossy results, right?
Yeah.
This result has not fetched any excellent outcome as expected, but that future course of work, which is what she has cited, and that is the state of this ERA conference. We are not promising silver bullet as agile for every other problem. We are trying to showcase where it really works and where it needs something, no improvement or customization. And thanks for bringing that. Thanks so much. Now let's go forward to our next one. Before going to the next panel, I would like to invite Nagini, and she's ready with icebreaker or a chiller for this session. So let's have that, and then with little more energy, we'll go for the next panel. Over to you.
I have posted one link, which is a Miro link. I am posting some names. So when you open your link, what you see there is some names I'm going to post there. Okay, and I'm just taking some random names. Sorry if I am actually. Okay. So I have posted some names. I have got a Miro board for all of you, which will show you some fridge figures. Okay. Now I want all of you to go there and open your Miro board. Guess these names, which fridge belongs to whom in this list I have posted. And all the people's names which I have written also can guess the other people's fridge. So there is a kind of a note, a sticky note, which is there on the Miro board. If you can see in the left side of your screen, Just take that and write your favorite fridge and which you are linking to which person in that list. Come on, you have 2 minutes. Since you have interacted with them all these two yesterday and today, so just guess whose fridge can be that.
So Nagini, there are 5 fridges, am I right? So we have
Yes.
to just think. Okay.
Which fridge suits to which name I have posted there, okay?
Acha, the researcher names.
Whatever names I have given there in the chat window.
Okay, okay.
I'm going to share my screen to show you the thing. And this is the Miro board. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
See, I'm getting all this. Come on, all of you have 2 minutes. You can guess 5 fridges. Kiran, Padma, I'm seeing the name. Shruti, your name is there on a Siki. Yeah. Okay. Shruti, Padma, Kiran. What happened to Funny? Nobody is guessing his fridge. Anbu, where is your name? See? Let us see who have scored how much. Shruti.
Moreover, I was shocked to see your name on the 4th fridge, Nagini.
See, I know I have seen a majority of them making first fridge as Shruti's fridge. I don't know what is the logic they have got there. Okay. And third fridge has predominantly Funny. And 4th is Kiran. Padma, you have only 2 stickies on each of the fridge. I don't know. People are not ready to decide which fridge belongs to you.
Kiran, please do a retrospective, serious retrospective on this.
Where did Anand come from? Anand and I were not there in the list.
I was actually wondering myself. I wonder what makes people think that I'm in the fourth one.
Okay. Somebody has changed the stickers also. 1, 2, 3, 4 ke jagah mein Funny, Padma, Kiran, Anbu and Shruti. The row numbers they have changed. Wow. See? Still, Shruti, first fridge belongs to you.
Funny is away to see this Funny.
Wow. Girish has made his name there.
Very nice volunteering, Girish.
Anand, Girish and Sunita, they have put their own names on the fridges. Fascinating fridges, right? Full of products. Wow.
Nagini, I did not put my name. I don't know who put my name.
Same here. I have not put my name. It's somebody else.
So you have influenced them that this fridge has to belong to you.
Oh no, I don't know who did that.
You know who would have put that.
Let's
Yeah,
do
yeah.
retrospect.
There could be only 2 people in this group who could have done that.
Yeah, I know.
Good.
One, Sunita, one who knows you right from your childhood. The
Yeah,
other one,
the other one who knows me for the last 4 years.
Hey, Shruti, you have been a choice for the last and the first fridge, yeah?
I'm going to take my motivation from that.
Go and organize your fridge first.
Yeah.
Good. I think we are good for the next session. Okay, thank you for your participation. So you
Thanks,
can
Nagini.
grab your
It was fun.
fridges and go home. Good. I'm stopping my
Thanks, Nagini. It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
shares. Stop sharing. Yeah. The screen is back to the panel.
Thanks for reward and recognition, Nagini.
See, I'm very, very frank in that. Immediately I will recognize.
Definitely. So yesterday I was waiting for the same, but no worry. It's never late. So it's okay.
इंतजार का फल मीठा होता है.
मीठा होता है, हाँ जी.
Good. All yours, Padma.